Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's that time, everybody, for another edition of Maryland's Cafe Society Radio right here on YouTube. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of the show. Hey, it's Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. And how are you on this day? Did you have a great weekend? Well, listen, I did. I just, you know, I just made sure that I was going to have a great weekend, especially after learning that William Shatner, who is 90 years old, will become the oldest person to fly off into space tomorrow on Wednesday with the Blue Origin, or in the Blue Origin rocket with a team of others. Isn't that incredible? My goodness. And so, yeah, I was going to make it my business to have a great weekend, a great week, and I hope that you are too. In fact, that reminds me of the word that we are focusing on this month, the month of October, irrumpant. Irrumpant, meaning bursting forth. And what a way to burst forth, literally, by flying in a rocket. Well, he certainly has inspired me, and I am definitely looking forward to 90 years old so that I can do something as spectacular as that. All right. All right, everybody. So, yeah, we've had some interesting weather in the Chicagoland area. Yeah, we had a couple of tornado watches. I think one actually touched down maybe 30 miles away from where I'm living. And but you know, it did not get as bad as I thought it was going to get, at least not in my immediate area. Now, of course, there's reports of trees down and a whole lot of other stuff and other areas, but we missed it this go round. All right. And so we're going to do it this Tuesday as we've been doing it. And that is, of course, we're going to focus on coronavirus updates. We did it last Tuesday. And so as of this morning, according to Johns Hopkins, we are now at 238.4 million COVID-19 cases worldwide and around 4,861,000 deaths globally. There's roughly 44.4 million confirmed cases and now 714,000 deaths here in the United States. And in China, they're now reporting 108,784 cases, and they remain at 4,849 COVID-19 deaths. They got the magic over there. We need to take some notes here in the United States. All right, in other COVID-related news, the United States health experts are hopeful that the worst of the pandemic may be over because the numbers and the death rates are slowly dropping, everyone. As a matter of fact, some has gone as far as to say they believe that in some areas, because of the high vaccination rates, as well as the natural immunity that has occurred, they believe that it could be hard for the virus to continue to survive even among the people who are left unprotected currently. Now, just to give you some perspective, the CDC is saying about 56% of the total United States population is fully vaccinated. Yeah, so, you know, we're approaching, I think initially, the Biden administration and the CDC wanted to hit 70% of the United States population being fully vaccinated. But now I believe they're trying to, or have increased that number to 90% is what I'm hearing, not taking into account natural immunity. But nevertheless, there is an infectious disease epidemiologist at Columbia University School of Public Health who's saying that people should not get too lax because the virus is still with us. Even though those numbers are dropping, we still have to remain diligent. And, you know, for those who choose to get vaccinated, and everyone should still continue to wear their mask and practice social distancing where possible until we can, of course, keep those numbers going down. Now, so far, COVID-19 is far more deadlier than the flu. I know some people didn't know this, but there is a percentage of individuals who actually die from the flu every year. But so far it hasn't been a problem since we've been dealing with the COVID. And some of the experts are saying because we have so many people who are wearing masks now and washing their hands and watching their distance. There were hardly any flu cases last year, but they're warning folks because of the vaccinations that are happening, you may get a little lax and not practice those hygiene protocols that we've gotten used to dealing with COVID. And so, they're thinking there may be an uptick of flu cases this go round. So we'll see. But getting back to COVID-19, this expert from Columbia University is saying that when you factor in natural immunity, those who have been vaccinated, and of course, all of the better treatments that are arising out of all of this, eventually COVID-19 will become sort of like the flu, just something that we live with and deal with. But because of the immunity level, it won't be killing as many people as it initially was. So we'll just stand by and stay tuned and watch for that. Now, speaking of treatments, here's an update on the Merck's pharmaceutical company report that I did last week. They introduced or developed this experimental antiviral pill. And so this past Monday, yesterday, they actually applied for the United States emergency use authorization for this particular drug to treat mild to moderate patients of COVID-19. And if an authorization from the United States Food and Drug Administration is approved, it would put it on course to become the first oral antiviral medication for the disease, as well as help change clinical management of COVID-19, because this is a pill that people can actually take home and, recover from home. So we'll watch it and see what happens. Now, listen, just FYI, speaking of COVID and treatments and protections and protocols, the Food and Drug Administration is advising people to stop using a hand sanitizer that's scent-free and that's made by Art Naturals. Yeah. In fact, they're saying if you even have it in your home or in your car or wherever you keep it, you should toss it in a hazardous waste container. Don't put it in the regular trash, or don't pour it down the drain or in the toilet, because it's that lethal. Now, apparently the Food and Drug Administration issued this warning back on October 4th after some tests that they were doing found unacceptable levels of cancer-causing chemicals in some of these hand sanitizing bottles. So again, the product is Art Naturals, and they have been added to a growing list of brands that make these hand sanitizers. I think the list is about 260 now that have contaminated harmful chemicals. And they are, again, urging people not to use them. And so if you want that full list, I recommend that you go to the Food and Drug Administration website and maybe do a search for hand sanitizers, and you'll get that full list. But it's being reported that some of these sanitizers are being sold at several stores across the country, and specifically in Walmart, Publix, and on Amazon. So be careful, everybody. Well, on a lighter note, Dr. Fauci gave the green light to families to go trick-or-treating this year, those who participate, but there is some caution. Of course, they're recommending that these Halloween activities be outdoors, which normally it is, right? We dress the kids up and take them door to door for trick-or-treating, but and there's, just reminding folks, particularly during this COVID season or time that we're in, that the sweet treats and goodies that you're handing out to the young people and maybe some old people should be secure and in sealed packaging. All right. So, for those who are giving the treats out, make sure that, what you're giving is sealed and secure. And for those who are knocking on doors, asking for treats, don't accept it if it's not. All right. And then somebody said that maybe you should do double portions since they missed last year. So, it's up to you. But anyway, just a little fun there. All right. Well, that concludes our COVID news. And, as I say at the end of the show, I'll say it at the end of this report, just make sure that you all continue to stay safe and protected, wear your mask and social distance. And let's just make this COVID go away. All right. Another news. Well, listen, I think I shared last week that 2 weekends ago now, I attended a tech conference and it was so good. And we talked about, or I should say the panelists talked about us now being in that fifth industrial revolution. That's all tech now. It's not industrial. It's not information. It's all tech. We are there, people. We are in the tech world. And so we're dealing with things like facial recognition and algorithms that can identify cancer in patients. Yes, I'm telling you, it's just so profound. But so much we're advancing so fast and so quickly, and there's just so much data-driven technologies out there that are transforming how we live and how we how we can be healed, and they have access to our personal information. And so, just like the information age, with all of those advances, there still has to be a watchdog. You still have to be careful. There still has to be legislation and laws in place on how to deal with some of those problems that may arise from this rapid growth and lack of regulation. And so the White House is currently exploring ways to deal with that. And so they're working on an artificial intelligence bill of rights that will govern and protect against potential harmful uses of artificial intelligence technology. Now, of course, the Biden administration is saying it's just the first steps that they're taking to create safeguards that will ensure that our technologies abide by the democratic values and everyone's pursuit of living in a just and free society. But I don't know about that because, I talked about this last week. There's some laws tucked into the spending plan, or is it the infrastructure bill, that are questionable. And, everybody's talking about it. The one item that they're trying to pass that will allow the government to tap into anyone's bank account, anyone who has more than $600 in their bank account. That's a problem, right? And also there is another one that would allow them to put tracking devices. It's all an experiment that will, I guess, provide data to the government on how they can replace the fuel tax, because eventually, all of the vehicles are going to be electric vehicles. And so right now, a great deal of money is paid in taxes to cover infrastructure costs through the gas fuel tax. But once that goes away, they want to come up with other means of taxing us, I guess. And so one of them is to charge us, I guess, travel fees. And so one way to see if it's going to work is they have to test the program, which would be the government installing a tracking device on your vehicle to keep up with the miles that you drive so that they'll know how much to charge you. And so anyway, it's kind of deep and scary, you know? And so it's good that they're jumping on this technology situation, you know, trying to come up with safeguards and legislation that will definitely keep us safe and protected. But are they really? You know, it's all just so much happening. But anyway, let's get back to the news, everybody. So I know you've been hearing about this one. I've talked to a few people who've been dealing with it, and that's Southwest Airlines. Yeah, this weekend was not a good weekend for the airlines, let alone the people who've been trying to travel utilizing the airlines. Now, of course, we've heard that they canceled over 800 flights on Saturday and more than 1,000 flights on Sunday. And even on Monday, they canceled 360 flights. And I believe I read as of about 7 a.m. this morning, there was just under 100 flights that Southwest had to cancel. Now, of course, they're blaming air traffic control issues, staffing shortages, and disruptive weather. But apparently no other airlines seem to be having those problems. And some were suggesting that maybe the problems were rooted in the airline's recent disputes with their pilots, but the airline denied that, and so did the pilots union. And others thought maybe it had something to do with the recently announced vaccine mandates for all of their employees. And you know that maybe some of them got together and organized a sit out or whatever, a call off, whatever you want to call it. But again, the airline executives are denying that as the problem as well. So we'll just stay tuned and find out how things continue to develop for Southwest. You know, I talked to a few people and who do a lot of traveling. I don't do a lot of flying, not like that, but Southwest was one of their favorites. And now they're kind of turned off. So we'll see how things continue to develop with Southwest Airlines. All right. And speaking of shortages, there is a significant labor shortage here in the United States. Yeah, the federal employment COVID payments have run out. What's that been more than a month ago? And so many were thinking that the workers would get back out there and get jobs and get back to work, but they haven't been. Many are reluctant to return to work. And some of them are citing reasons of, you know, for they're fearful of their health and their safety. And others are attempting to switch jobs or industries. And some have dabbled into entrepreneurship and starting their own companies. So, but that still doesn't account for a large number of people who just haven't gotten back out there into the workforce. There was a time in life where there was hardly any jobs, an abundance of people not working, and now it's the opposite. There's a lot of jobs, but no workers. And so the education sector has had quite a few losses in terms of people working in that industry, as well as the healthcare industry. And so as a result of that, you know, what some of these sectors or companies or employers are doing is they're raising the wages because they want to entice people to come back and get back into the job market. But that doesn't appear to be the answer. It's not working. And so, if you're like me, you're like, well, what is the answer? And, it just remains to be seen. We just don't know. But maybe this report that I read on yesterday may be an explanation for part of the hesitancy that some have in getting back to work, and not just to work, but just in the world. And we know there's a lot of folks who haven't missed a beat. They've been ripping and running and doing what they do throughout the whole pandemic. But as we can see, there are still a lot of people who are just hesitant. And so I read this article yesterday in the Huffington Post, and it was an article on how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected many in their mental health. And so, the report said that there was, the mental health professionals have saw a rise in cases. And, of course, mental health is not something that should be ever underestimated. We know that it manifests in so many different ways. And so trauma is, one cause of it. And I think it's fair to say that, this past 18 months has been very traumatic, not only for the adults, but especially for the children. And so some of the problems that therapists have been seeing an uptick with is, of course, depression. This whole idea of being isolated and not being able to visit family or hug, individuals outside of your household, or touch people, or just, be human like we're used to, has really affected some folks and caused them to sink into a depression. Anxiety is another one that they have been seeing an uptick with. People are just very anxious about, everything that's going on. And if you consume the news every day, if you didn't have that anchor, whatever it is that you use to keep yourself anchored and control, so to speak, you could become very anxious because, right after COVID or a month later, we had the racial unrest and all of the rioting and looting and the shootings and killing. If you just let your mind run away and you don't have a sense of calm, then you'll develop that anxiety. And then grief. My gosh, we've lost more than 700,000 lives as a result of this COVID-19, and it has touched so many. You've lost loved ones, and so you're going through that grief, and then just the normal grief, that the children and how our lives have changed. The children were not allowed to go to school, and folks were laid off or had to leave jobs because of having to stay home with the kids. Folks' lives have been turned upside down, and so they're grieving what life used to be. And then the trauma and early signs of post-traumatic stress disorder is something that these therapists are seeing crop up, along with panic attacks and agoraphobia. Agoraphobia, what is that? What is that? Well, they're saying agoraphobia. I had to look it up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I believe agoraphobia is a fear. Yeah, it's a fear and avoidance of public or crowded locations. Now, I don't think I knew, maybe I know one or two people in regular life prior to COVID who were sort of like that. They just really did not, they at all costs would avoid being in public places, and especially in crowded places. But apparently this pandemic and all the things, the mandates and the protocols that we've been having to follow has caused a lot of people to kind of develop this agoraphobia. They don't want to go out. They don't want to go to the grocery store. They don't want to do anything in public. And I have to say, I don't think I have developed agoraphobia, but I've chosen not to go out into public places in the last 18 months. Very few. I can count them on one hand, but I've chosen not to because of, because you're increasing your chances of being exposed to COVID-19 and so forth and so on. And then, substance abuse or misuse. We've heard those reports in the last year how the sales of alcohol has just skyrocketed. People are turning to alcohol and other substances to cope with dealing with this COVID-19 situation and all the emotions that individuals may be feeling and trying to suppress or cover. And then, of course, eating disorders. For those who don't turn to the alcohol and drugs, they're turning to food, the comfort food, to help them, cope with what's going on or to make them feel better. And so I think, like I said, it's not the answer to why folks are very reluctant or hesitant to get back into work life and the world in general, but it certainly may be an explanation for the hesitancy. And so just keep that in mind. And if you or someone who, may be dealing with that, I certainly would advise you to reach out to a mental health professional. And there are organizations out there who deal with this very issue, like the Black Mental Health Association. And then there's, Huffington Post referred folks to AAKOMA project. And there's also the American Psychological Association that folks can reach out to. And then, in those severe cases, especially, folks who may be suicidal, there's the National Suicidal Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255, and that you can refer folks to who are really just having a tough time coping and dealing with this pandemic that, again, hopefully we're on the heels of. They can reach out and get some help, or you can help them seek help. All right. Well, are you ready to take a look at the stock market? Let's go ahead and do that. As of noon today, the Dow was down 0.16%, a negative 0.16% to 34,444.71 points. The S&P 500 was also down a negative 0.16% to 4,354.25 points. And the NASDAQ was down a negative 0.31% to 14,667.91 points. Gold is up $7.01 to $1,761 per ounce. And oil is also up 0.16% to actually 0.14 cents. 14 cents, not 0.14%. Okay. Anyway, per barrel, that would be $80.89 per barrel. All right. And of course, that was as of noon. We know that the numbers fluctuate, but just to kind of give you a ballpark figure. And that completes our news and business report, everybody. There is one last thing before we go, and it's a good thing. Yeah, thanks to the United States Mints American Women Quarters Program. Yeah, Mint, MINT, like money, where we keep all the money. There's a diverse group of American female trailblazers from different eras who will be featured in new designs of the quarter. Yeah, the designs of historical figures will be released on the backs, or what some people call the tails, of the quarter between the years 2022 and 2025. And so the women include civil rights activist and poet Maya Angelou, astronaut and first woman to travel to space, Dr. Sally Ryder, Mexican-American suffragist and politician Nina Otero Warren, and the first Chinese-American actress Anna May Wong, and also Wilma Mankiller, the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. And so congratulations to those women. Word is still out what's going to happen with the $20 bill, I believe, $20 bill or the $2 bill. $20 bill, I believe, is supposed to be undergoing some changes. Wow. My memory is failing me, but I think that's right. But anyway, we'll definitely follow it and keep you up to date as we move closer. Okay, let's get to our word for the month. Once again, it's irrumpent. Irrumpent. For the month of October, we should be concentrating, meditating on that word, learning that word, using it in sentences in our conversations just to improve our vocabulary, right? And so irrumpent meaning bursting forth or bursting through a surface. All right. And that's it, everybody. I just want to remind you that you can sign up for the Mondays with Marilyn email blast. It's just a real quick 1 or 2 sentence blast of inspiration or humor to get you started for the week. All you have to do is send your email address to MarilynsCafeSociety@yahoo.com. MarilynsCafeSociety@yahoo.com, and I'll get you going and started on that. And also, we do have the Christmas giveaway, countdown to Christmas giveaway, that's going to start in 2 weeks. We'll be pulling the first name. And so if you want your name included, if you want to win what we're giving away, all you have to do is send your name and contact information to the email address I just gave you, MarilynsCafeSociety@yahoo.com, or you can send it to producer@MarilynsCafeSociety.com. I'll put it all in the notes under the video on YouTube for your reference. And when we pull, we'll put all the names in a cute little basket or box, and hopefully pull your name, and you'll be the first winner for the month of October. Then we'll do it again in November and in December. So be sure to sign up for that. And remember, you can check out the website at any time, MarilynsCafeSociety.com. There you can connect with me on my social media and also the blog, which is weekly. And of course, you can find me right here on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. All right. And so we want to tell you what love is on this day. And this is another day in which I, of course, for some reason, as I'm prepping for the show and putting the show together, these last couple of times I've been forgetting to pull that. So let's go ahead and do this. I keep these little cute little things on my desk and other places around the house just to remind me and keep me uplifted. So here we'll say, love is when you love you more. How about that? Love is when you love you more. All right. And make sure that you live, you laugh, and you love until we meet again right here on YouTube. As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege, everybody. And I'll see you on the next show. Peace. Stay safe.